Is it weird that your UFC debut is just like the Hex main event?
Yeah, it's sort of like a narrative that was written a long time ago. I think there's so many little things that happen in my life that are like, is this really happening? And this is another one of them where it's like it's poetic. It's funny, but how cool is that? Kevin just said vacates the title. Guess who owns it next? You
Mm.
look at him. So I then won the title after Jousset let it go, and he went on to do great things in the UFC, won a couple good fights, put on great performances, and now I'm jumped in, and now we're scheduled to fight. So it's sort of like, yeah, the Hex boys will be loving that.
Yeah, it's good. And he's the good thing too is it's not like two debutants. It's like Kevin just said it's like already done quite a lot in the UFC in such a short time. So I think it's kind of nice. I think it's rude to the Anzac fans because I like cheering Kevin and now I got Jono there. Like it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be heartbreaking.
Yeah, I know you'll be cheering Kevin, Mitch. Don't worry. You
Never.
don't need to lie to me. It's all
No,
right. I get it.
no, he actually publicly he doesn't he's the only guy I've ever had come out and say, I don't like you and I don't like your show.
Yeah, I don't like you. I just don't tell you.
That's
I
what I
keep
mean,
it a
though. Like
secret.
everyone doesn't like me, but he's the only one that tells me publicly, which I love. So maybe you're right. Maybe I do like him. But mate, talking of the loss to Olden, in one of the most weird situations ever, you get stopped. You get a TKO loss, and within 7 months. You're fighting for a UFC contract, and within less than a year, you're about to have your UFC debut. Go back to the moment that night that fight was finished and you're on the wrong end of it. If someone told you you'd be fighting in your UFC debut, would you believe it?
Nah, 100% I wouldn't have. And then this is like come back to what I was saying before. I definitely wouldn't have. But I think it's a part. There's a few things here as to why, and one of them being I put on a great performance in that fight. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like I just got
Oh,
stopped in very quickly and didn't put up a fight. I put up a hell of a fight, and the stoppage was a little bit early. So there's all those things, and I think the UFC can see if someone can go through a bit of trauma, can go through a tough fight and still push through. So I definitely that it was not in the cards, and we definitely thought we'd get pushed back at least a year. Because you can plan for these things, but only so much. So that definitely threw us back. So I wasn't even thinking of the UFC until 2026, 2027. I'm still young, all
mm.
these things are running through my head, but I'm still true to the goal of what I wanted, which is being in the UFC. And yeah, so off the back of that, I mean, some might say it was gifted to me, and they might say I don't deserve to be in the UFC. And I try not to look at comments, but there's some that I've seen floating around before. But like, those people making those comments, like, what have you done in your life, bro? Honestly, like, for people who are out there doing the groundwork and taking out top competitors and beating them in the first round on the back of the biggest
Mm.
loss of your life, like, I think that has something to say. You know what I mean? And a guy who hasn't been subbed ever in his career, I don't think.
I
Um,
don't believe so. No.
Go and do it. Like it just proves that I've got something special, and that I do. And now I just need to prove that in the ranks of the UFC coming up.
Do you have people critiquing you now?
I tend to read comments, or at least have training partners as I come to the gym telling me that this guy said you look like Freddie Mercury, and all these guys saying that you don't fucking deserve it. But like that stuff's just fuel to the fire, Mitch. Like you can't look too much into it because there's always going to be people. There's always going to be fucking keyboard warriors and stuff like that.
Yeah.